You're watching Last Minute Laura. Hey, don't forget to subscribe! Hi guys, welcome back to Last Minute Laura. I'm Laura, and in today's video I'm going to try something I've not tried before. I'm a little bit nervous about it because, like I said, I haven't done it before, but I'm also very excited because what I've read about it, it's going to make a difference in the project that I have coming up. So, without further ado, what I want to try to do today is use alum powder in my natural dyeing. Alum powder, I don't really understand what it is, and I don't really understand what it does, but everybody who's doing natural dyeing online seems to say that using this as a mordant makes the colors brighter, and I want to dye my yarn some bright colors, so I want to try it out. This is by no means a tutorial. It's a bad idea. Oh, a really bad idea. Because, again, I don't know what I'm doing, but I figured I would bring you along for the ride because I'm going to be using this yarn in an upcoming video, so I figured you might as well see where it came from. Okay, so first things first. For this project, I used 2 stainless steel pots to simmer the wool and then the dye. I used 2 glass bowls and 2 plastic containers to soak the wool, and I used alum powder as a mordant and a variety of spoons and scoops throughout the dyeing process. Not pictured are the pantyhose I used as a strainer. For the dye, I made a light blue color with black turtle beans and the skin from some Concord grapes, and I made a warm sandy brown with about 2 cups of black walnut husks and 3 tea bags. Also, a fun fact, I collected the grapes and walnut husks for this dye project from my parents' farm. Everything online said that I should start by scouring the wool, which is washing it. Then I'm supposed to mix the mordant with water, bring it up to a simmer with the wool in that water mordant mixture, which I'm supposed to weigh out, and it's supposed to simmer for an hour, and then I'm supposed to let it come back up to normal room temperature, or come back down, I guess, to room temperature slowly so that the wool doesn't felt. I'm gonna try that. The wool is already soaked, so I'm gonna add that soaked wool to a pot with water. We're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna bring the camera over to the stove so that you can see me set up what I'm gonna set up, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so first I added a whole bunch of water to my stainless steel pot, probably about 10 cups if I had to guess. Then I added the amount of alum powder that worked for my weight of yarn. I used some different blog sources to figure out how much to use, but it seemed like people recommended trial and error as their main style of testing. I linked below to some of the blogs I used before getting started. Okay, so at this point the yarn's been sitting in the hot water mixed with alum powder for about an hour. I poured it into my sink, trying not to disturb the wool too much. I poured the remaining hot water onto the wool and let that sit in the sink to cool down a little bit, or warm up, I guess, while I got the dye bath started on the stove. Next, I took the black walnut husk tea mixture and the black bean grape mixture, and I added them to 2 separate pots on the stove. I turned the pots onto a low setting. Okay guys, so it's been a little while now. It's about 1:40 and I'm going to strain out the bits of walnut from the black walnut tea, basically, the dye bath, and I'm going to strain out the remaining black beans from the black bean bath. They've both been heated just barely to a simmer. I wanted to try with less heat to see if we could get more color payoff that way. So I'm going to strain that out now, and then I'm going to sit my yarn, which has been warming up, cooling down, whatever. I'm going to sit that in after. So, come have a look at this. It's a bad idea. Oh, a really bad idea. So, after that mishap, I'm just going to put the rest of it through this. I'm not using a real strainer. I'm using an old pair of pantyhose to strain through the black walnut juice, I guess. It catches everything, and also it was a good way to reuse a pair of pantyhose that had a couple of runs in them. But yes, I'm going to strain out the black walnut that way, and then I'm going to show you how dark it actually turned out. Light doesn't even pass through it. It's so dark. I'm so excited to dye with this. So this time I went through a lot of the recommendations online. I read a lot of the comments that people put on my last video with black turtle beans, and a lot of people commented, why did you use such hot water? Just soak them. So this time I barely used any heat. Hopefully we'll get more blue. Okay, so now that my dye baths are done, sitting here ready to have yarn put into them, I'm gonna start getting my yarn in there. So my yarn is still warm, which I think is good. I don't know. I'm gonna squeeze it out a little bit, not a lot. I don't want it to felt and I don't want to upset the yarn. But I'm just going to do like this, I think. So half and half on each side, and I'm gonna see if I can get that to work with all of the skeins. Okay, so this is, you can see how the yarn is already absorbing some of that color. I'm just gonna sit it in that walnut dye like this and let it just sort of osmosis its way up. I'm gonna do the same with these pieces here. I'm just gonna sit it in the dye. I'm just gonna let that sit for as long as I can stand it. So hopefully a couple of hours. All this yarn is gonna sit in this color bath, and then we will see if we got some good color payoff. We'll rinse it out, shock it with a little bit of vinegar, and then we should be golden. Okay, hi everybody. It has been over 12 hours now, and I am going to rinse out this wool. I'm so excited about it. I'm really excited about it. Alex, you know I'm excited about it, right? Okay, good. So I'm going to just start with some cold water. Let me say it without the sound on. With cold water, I'm going to start rinsing out these skeins one at a time, and after the water runs completely clear, which you can see is going to take a little while, we're going to put it into a cold water bath just to set the dye. And what I'm going to do to try and keep everything together is I'm going to wash it all out individually, put them in the sink, and then I'm going to soak the colored side separately if I can. So that's the plan. And there we go. So now the water is basically almost clear. So now I'm just going to drain these two sinks now that I feel pretty confident that they're gonna run clear. And then we're going to hang them up in the drying rack. It's still in the sink, but on a drying rack. And I am going to let it sit here until it's completely, totally, entirely bone dry. And then I'm going to bring it over to my workspace and wind it up into some center pull yarn cakes so that we can see how the colors look together and how it turned out in the end. So I'm going to leave it to dry. When you come back, or when I come back rather, I will show you what the dried yarn looks like. So here it is, the naturally dyed wool where I finally used alum powder as a mordant. What do you think? Isn't it so pretty? I love the sandy tan and the soft blue. I don't know that the mordant made them brighter, but maybe. Either way, I love the beachy vibes of this yarn and how it kind of osmoses or whatever, blends together perfectly. By the way, did you notice this yarn in the leg warmer tutorial video? Anyway, I really was happy with how the color turned out for this one, and I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you enjoyed this sort of mordant adventure, and kind of you can see how maybe it made a difference in the final product. I don't know, but I do really like how the yarn looked, so I'm happy with it. Anyway, if you did like the video, I would really appreciate you hitting that like button. It's an easy way to show your support, and it's actually really helpful for the channel. Also, hit the subscribe button. I make new videos every week, and you don't want to miss them. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!